Hi everyone, welcome to eLearnChat, where talk is knowledge. And we've got some knowledge to share with you today. Joining me is our co-host, my good friend, Linda Joy. Hi Linda, how are you today?
Hi. I'm doing great. Hi.
Well, we've got with us today John Blackmon, but you knew that, didn't you? Yeah. Here we go.
Hi everybody, how you doing?
We're back. Well, today we've got with us a good friend also, somebody that we know, respect, love. He's a good guy. John Blackmon, he is the Chief Technology Officer for Trivantis, makers of Lectora, Course Mill, all sorts of stuff.
Lectora Online and Review Link.
Lectora Online and Review Link.
Hi everybody.
I kind of always lump Lectora into Lectora as one product, but it's really two separate products with very similar identities, but different audiences.
Yes.
One is the Lectora Online, which is literally an online version. You can run it through your browser anywhere, and it runs beautifully. Actually, it runs very fast. It's funny. Every time I'm on that, I always forget I'm not on the desktop.
It is a problem. You get confused because they work identically as far as the builder tool itself. And so
Yeah.
I have the same problem. I'll be working with something else and, oh wait, no, it's not that one. It's the other one.
Yeah,
It gets confusing.
It's funny because you forget you're in a browser. We all live in browsers, and so we're in email and everything else. And then all of a sudden you're doing development and go, wait a minute, I'm in Lectora right now. I'm not on the desktop version, but the desktop version is still our tried and true, and we use it a lot in house. And always good stuff coming out from you guys. And since last we talked, we interviewed you on the Lectora live show that we do, and you were talking about responsive learning, but a lot of people still don't really understand what responsive is and why is that different from adaptive learning, which is what most everybody's doing out there. A lot of people call it responsive, but it's really not. It's just you code it 3 times. This is different.
Yeah, so the main point is that you really only want to build it once, and you want to have that content to work across all of your different devices. And so that way when you have to go back and make an update or make a change, you're only making a change to one copy of the content. And so with Lectora and Lectora Online, you can do that. You actually create your content once. You have 5 different views of your content. Lectora will automatically scale and move and size things for you, teach those views, but then it allows you to tailor it a little bit. So if you want to change it, usually something like on your phone portrait, you can tailor it on your phone portrait. So it gives you a lot of power and a lot of flexibility, but it still gives you a determinate output, and that's really what it gives you different from everyone else. When you're on a phone, you're always going to know what it looks like on a phone. So it's a very deterministic output.
Yeah, and it's actually pretty easy to create the responsive designs. It's a lot of people think, I've got to create it 3 different types. No, you really create it once and just kind of, it really adjusts itself, and then you can, in each version, change a little bit of how it looks, but it doesn't affect the other versions.
Right. You do things like adjust text size, and maybe you wanted to be a little more bold on the phone, or layout's a little bit different. So you can make a few adjustments, but really it does most of that for you.
Yeah, it's actually pretty amazing. When you actually see it work, it's kind of like magic. You just go, wow, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, like both of you said, it's not thinking outside of the box, but it's thinking inside of the grid.
Yes,
exactly. Exactly. I think we came up with that. We should patent
we
that.
did that on the show. We actually were talking on the show, and it just blurted out. And I got to talk to Scott about that. He's the VP of marketing. Okay, use that. That's a good one. We're in the matrix now. We're not messing around anymore. This is let's call it quantum learning. How's that?
Quantum learning, yeah, because the matrix thinks you little green screens with things floating down.
That's right.
That's not good. That's not good.
No, it's a different kind of matrix. We're talking more like a mathematical matrix of things that happen, which is really what it is in essence. You've got everything diagrammed out. I guess everything's got coordinates on it.
Sure, and everything's proportional. So you work in proportional things and move things around. There are rules based upon that we work in. So you have everything is built out proportionally to a grid, but then you base it on certain rules for certain device types as to how you're going to move things around proportionally, and then you allow for overrides for each of the different devices.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's really a cool technology. Now you were talking also about a little bit about online and desktop. For those who aren't familiar with it, Lectora comes in two flavors. You've got the online flavor, and then you've got the desktop flavor, which runs on your PC locally. The online runs remotely. Any other differences or anything to be aware of with that?
Sure. As with any online software, once you have SaaS software, you have the ability to collaborate. So if you're used to working with a desktop software product, you get the idea. It's all really locally on your computer. You're working with files on your own hard drive. If you have to work with another person, if on the same title, you actually kind of have to share chapters and copy things, and then it might be part of your normal workflow. But when you get to Lectora Online on a SaaS product, if 2 people or 10 people or 100 people need to work on a title at the same time, they can all do that together simultaneously. It uses what we call a check-in, check-out methodology. So you can check out a chapter or a page or even an individual image or text block. You can check it out, work on it, check it back in, and then it automatically updates on the other users' machines. So 2 people can be working together on the same page, and they can see each other's updates pop through as they check them out and check them back in. You also don't have to worry about things like installing software. Everything is built into the browser. You just go to the website, log on, you can get a free trial and roll with it. So it's kind of a nice way to work with things.
Well, one of the benefits of that is, and we have this, where you have multiple people working on something, and you don't have to install it on every machine sometimes because you either don't have enough licenses or you're just really moving it around different people while you're not in. So this allows you to get in easily and move it from literally different people, and they log off, they log in. And it's real easy to do. So that's
true collaboration.
Yeah.
Right. It makes a big difference. And not only that, even file storage. If you think about, you mentioned, we were talking earlier about some server problems, who's having things like that. So, if you lose some files, think about that. With online, it's all on the cloud. It's all backed up for you. You don't have to worry, boy, where was that? If you go away on a project for a year and come back, you think, man, where did I put that one on thumb drive somewhere? It's all there. It's all backed up for you. It's all in the cloud. You know exactly where your latest version is. So,
yeah, that makes a difference. The collaboration part's really interesting because when you are in a team environment, there's more than one of you, and all you need is really more than one of you for chaos to happen. It just does make life a lot easier when people aren't pulling things out. Now, it's funny, some of the other tools out there will allow you to get in when another person's in, which is bad because that means the last person who gets in saves it.
Right.
And you can really be screwed up, and we've actually had that happen with some of the other tools where somebody went in with unbeknownst to another person going in, and you don't know you've got it or that they've got it until somebody does a final save.
Yeah.
And then there's frustration.
That can be serious.
That's really bad, actually. And I'm surprised because all you really need to do is just create like a lock file so that nobody else can get, at least not let anybody else in.
Right.
But
right.
These are some
giving
big,
read-only access or something.
Yeah, and these are not small tools. They're pretty well-known tools. Be careful with that one because if you go in and somebody else goes in, you may not know that you've got company. And then at the end, you think you've gone insane because you went, I fixed all that, but now it's totally different. Mm-hmm. Those are gotchas.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
Bad gotchas. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize, and we even didn't really think about it too much before, we kept looking for development environments to create apps. And not long ago, I looked at Leslie, who we were actually on a trip, and we were thinking, wait a minute, why don't we create apps in Lectora? She looked at me and goes, yeah, we could. I go, yeah, we could. You really have an app development environment there. I mean, with a couple of little tweaks and stuff, you can go, I think you use PhoneGap, and boom, you've got apps on any device.
Yeah, PhoneGap or Cordova, which is, the open source version of that. But yeah, it's being done by a lot of people now. There are apps for sale on the App Store that are created through Lectora. So, I mean, if you have the right content and you can go put it out there, you can create for sale apps on the App Store.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Amazing.
What kind of apps are people creating?
I've seen medical informational apps. I've seen some diet informational apps. There's a dating one. I'm not even going to talk about that, though.
Well, the dating one and the diet one go hand in hand, right? Is
I
that
guess they do. I guess they do.
A responsive dating site.
It's important. Absolutely. You got to be on the go.
Yeah.
That's good. So, how,
Yeah.
from a developer point of view, if you're developing an app, what do you need to be looking out for?
Well, it's very important when you're developing for an app. It's very important to make sure you're looking at your phone views of, obviously, because that's where a lot of people are consuming that kind of content. I mean, it might be on your tablet. The beauty is you can create a website with the exact same content without any additional effort. So you can have a website version of it. You can have a tablet version of it and a phone version with one piece of content, one single update. But then actually creating of the app itself, Lectora produces HTML. It's always produced HTML. So as long as you don't include any Flash, that's a big no-no. Flash won't run on the device. But as long as you don't include any Flash pieces, Lectora is not going to add any in there for you. You can actually pipe it out as HTML and it'll run on the phone. And then you go through PhoneGap. If some people aren't familiar with it, it's an Adobe product that you can use to take in HTML content and package it up into both Android, iOS apps and different various apps. But it's pretty easy to work with. It's not too hard to work with.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is with you made some of the apps you were talking about, they're all database apps. So you're tying into databases through Lectora.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, they're really storing that stuff through variables, and they store it in local storage. So you remember information that's in there. You have a pretty good amount of information you can remember, if you will. So it's just using the standard Lectora features of, remember this information. So it just remembers that kind of thing. It comes into a Lectora variable just like it normally does. It's amazing that you can package it up and it comes out and looks in a completely different way.
Yeah. Because I know Leslie, my wife, took your advanced scripting class at the Lectora User Conference 2016, as well as some other people I know, and they all really came out pretty excited and motivated about, hey, we can do a lot more with Lectora than we thought.
Yeah, there really is no limit to what you can do, especially in that scripting class, which I think, I apologize, Leslie, I got a little deep in there, but I think we did pretty good with it. But you can go so far as to do incredible Java scripting, which will all run on the phone. You can actually call out to web databases and pull information in. You can do so much in that thing.
Yeah, she thought that was really cool and easy. She said, she understands the back-end part of the JSON and the jQuery and all that. So she goes, well, really, all I need is that. I put that into Lectora. I'm good. I massage it. I show it. Life is good. And we're actually in the process of developing some show apps just so people can have any of the shows they like right on their phones without having to go to YouTube or Vimeo, just right there. Just, here's all the eLearnChats. Here's all the Lectora Lives, blah, blah, blah. And
Nice.
it's fun. It's actually a lot of fun. The hardest part isn't Lectora. It's getting the JSON, which is what pulls the data out, into something that you understand.
Right.
Right. It's kind of like an API into Vimeo and YouTube, but they don't really data map for you. Just so here it is, you got to figure it out. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. It's good stuff. I mean, you can do so much with so much power in there. We do our own conference app in there, the Lectora User Conference app. That's created in Lectora as well. We have our good friend Sergey at Branch Track that does that for us, and that's been working for us for a number of years now.
And it works really well. And again, like you said, if you don't know what it's written in, you assume it's probably C++ or Java or something else, typical app development environment. Then you go, that was Lectora? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, just drag and drop, put it in place, ready to go.
Yeah, you've got a secondary market right there you guys haven't even totally gone after.
There we go. We got to talk to Scott again, don't we?
Yeah, we do. I think we do. Because literally, I mean, that is another market. It's a huge market, actually, that people are trying to develop apps for everything. And the key is really, can you tie into a database? Yeah, you can. So as a result, now you've got the ability to pretty much get any kind of app you want. And variables in Lectora are easy, so there's no problem manipulating stuff once you have it retrieved. So it's fun stuff. When do you sleep, actually? Do you ever sleep at night?
No, nope. We're not allowed. Absolutely. So, no, none of that.
It is fun. We've on the other show we do, which is Lectora Live. It's a show all about Lectora and some of the things Trivantis does. We've had some of the developers on and interviewed them, and it's sort of interesting. One thing that I never really realized, I knew you've been around for a long time doing development from OS2 on, but you guys, quite a few of you have started from the same backgrounds, working in all sorts of different database applications, then going to IBM. And you still have some of that team integral with you.
Oh, yeah. Well, a lot of the team from General Motors and IBM came over. IBM used to have a very large facility here in Boca Raton. Mm-hmm. And so we used to, a lot of us came over from that.
Yeah, for those who don't know, that's where they had their PC division, which was enormous back when. Because then they sold it out of some crazy idea. But and that's Lenovo now, if you're wondering.
Yes.
Yeah, it moved a little further out of Boca Raton. What are they, Taiwan now, I think?
A lot further.
A lot further. Yeah. Not as pretty and not as warm in Taiwan.
Yeah.
But that was interesting. Yeah, you guys bring a lot of background to development, and as a team, that's one of the things that when we were at the LUC this year, I hadn't really realized that some of the guys working with you have been with you for a long time, and you guys go back. You're good friends. You're developers in common, and that's a value to a development team to have known each other for so long and work that tightly together. That's something that we appreciate, and when we notice that, that's kind of an interesting value added.
Yeah, and that's how you get a lot of these things done with the team like that, because you know exactly what you're going to have at the other team member. You can measure that kind of thing and know exactly how you're going to get things done. You've been working together on it so long, you know that communication is there and flowing.
Yeah.
Really adds to the productivity.
Yes,
and
very much so.
To each of you that you've been able to develop things further as a team, essentially.
Yeah.
Giving you one word programming answers today. He's had a busy week.
So John, is there a conference coming up soon? Is there something? Do you do webinars? Do people do webinars specifically on the app aspect?
We have them on the. We've had a few of them. They're on our community. They're recorded on our community. So you can go out to community@trivantis.com. And if you just search for PhoneGap or something like that, you'll see we have a few webinars that have been done and recorded. We'll be out at DevLearn in the fall, actually November, so late fall, and we'll certainly be talking it up and chatting it up there as well.
Nice.
So as the years go by, what trends are you seeing, John, in e-learning development that you're looking at? Things that are kind of on the horizon that you see as interesting or changing?
Well, there's a lot more going on with video these days, and I think it's right up your alley, right? So you see quite a lot of video learning going on, and so I think there's going to be a lot more focus on that, and not just pre-recorded video, but perhaps interactive video, even within courses. So imagine building a course, and you and I have discussed this, when you can create your course and then have a teacher that, if the teacher's online and live, you can pop in and talk to the teacher, or perhaps a mentor on the subject, pop in, talk to them live, and still take the material as it's going through. I mean, there's infinite possibilities as far as video, and all that can be done mobily as well. So I mean, there's a lot going on in the video area, including that into courses.
Yeah, and it gives a whole new meaning to blended learning. I mean, you're really
absolutely
blending it at that point. Oh, that's kind of reminds me, will it blend? I don't know if you've ever seen those.
And a whole new meaning to interactive learning.
Yeah. Exactly. If you got something you're not having a problem, you can ask somebody, and not just that, you can see them and talk to them and ask them.
Yes.
You get an entire classroom involved at that point. So there's just a lot you can do.
Well, it's interesting. The other day we were talking to Michael Bryant, who used to be the product marketing manager for Sony's creative software group. In particular, Sony Vegas, which is a very good video editing tool, Sony SoundForge, which they all used to be the Sonic Foundry products. But he said something that really was fascinating. He was talking about the Microsoft HoloLens and how, can you imagine taking, because he's a musician too, he's a writer, composer, player, singer, And he said, can you imagine taking your mixer that they usually put in, if you've ever been to a concert, usually you'll sometimes see a person kind of on their own, and there's a mixer in front of them. They're usually somewhere around the center of the auditorium. And they're getting a feel for what the sound is in the auditorium, and they're mixing, they're moving the levers up and down and back and forth, getting volumes to different speakers and everything around the auditorium to make things sound good. And he goes, can you imagine doing that virtually? Get a Microsoft HoloLens, and now in your mind you can see the mixer, and you can give it a command saying, fader 2, go up 1 decibel, and it goes up. He goes, speaker 6, engage, and speaker 6 comes up. Or change the lighting on this, and it's all done virtually through the HoloLens. And I was going, yeah, that's pretty cool if you think about it. He said, it's possible. All those device interfaces technically will be available with that. And can you imagine in training, making training so it's so realistic that you literally are in almost a virtual reality world playing with what you're supposed to be working on.
Right. I mean, that's beyond virtual. That's augmented reality.
It is.
Right.
It
so
is.
It's you know, and think of the popularity of something like Pokemon Go these days. Not with me, mind you, but very popular as well. That's augmented reality as well. You're projecting onto the reality and changing out. If you project that into a training scenario, there's just no limit to where you can go with that. Now, it's a very different type of training, will be created in a very different type of way. But again, that is just something that could change the way you train. If you have to learn how to use a mechanical device, imagine being able to go to the device and see it, the instructions pop up around the device and give you clues as how to work with it and which screws to turn, and you get real-time feedback on everything that goes. Just amazing. Yeah,
imagine if you're a field service worker, you go out and you're trying to figure out how to do something, and you can bring up your little library of just-in-time videos or holograms.
Are you working on something like that, John, already?
We have gotten, we have some virtual reality stuff. I do not have a HoloLens. I would like to have one if Microsoft happens to be listening. We looked at some virtual reality things and have talked through some ideas on it and things, but nothing really active right now, but certainly something we're considering.
Is Microsoft shipping the HoloLens yet?
They're shipping development kits along with it. Nothing really like that. It's just still a little early. It's not quite done, but it is imminent for sure.
Yeah, they did a great demo when they rolled it out, and everybody's like, wow. But that was over a year ago, and nobody's still doing much with it yet. But that could have some really good promise. I'm just thinking of the possibilities with training and learning and everything else. Just for field operators, for anybody who's operational, who needs to actually do something.
Absolutely.
That could be priceless.
It's just one of the things is, especially with virtual reality, the HoloLens, is convincing somebody to strap that device onto their face, though, for that period of time. It is unusual, and it takes some getting used to, especially in a full immersive virtual reality situation. It's amazing the possibilities, but it is a little bit different once you get in there, and you really are in a different world.
Yeah, it's funny. I was watching the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 rollout the other day, and it has built-in virtual reality, and I guess you go around wearing some Samsung VR gear, and you just go, And we have enough people outside of reality as it is. Do we need more? I mean, I just wonder.
Yeah.
I was at the one of the marinas not far from us the other day, and there's these like 250 pounders running around going, hey, here's the Pokemon thing. It's like 250-pound adolescents. I mean, they look like toddlers. They really look like big toddlers, but they were Pokemoning it.
Yeah. Oh, it's extremely popular. You see it all. That is augmented reality, man. That is. Yeah. It's amazing.
And it's great to see the e-learning world adapt that and how different people are trying to adapt that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and that's brought it into the mainstream. So now it's something that people understand and they kind of get. They go, okay, I can see how that would work and how that would apply. Whereas before, they never had that opportunity to really see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just there's a whole mess of science fiction that's becoming real as we speak, more and more and more.
Absolutely.
I was reading somewhere that remember the old science fiction tricorder on Star Trek. They could just kind of wave it by you and go, okay, I know what's wrong with you. they're doing stuff like that. They're starting to do devices like that that can measure all sorts of stuff. I remember when I was probably about 10, my dad, who was kind of a quasi-engineer on the side, he was more like a mad scientist on the side, and a doctor went up to him and said, I need to measure the blood flow all over the body. This is back in the very early 60s. There were no computers yet. I mean, not much. And so he developed a device for him. I think he got paid $2,000. I think the doctor made probably $20 million on it. It was a good deal. But in essence, it measured the blood flow in every part of the body at
Wow.
one time. So you could see if there were blockages or anything else. And it was all done with little VU meters because that's all you had in those days. We didn't have anything beyond that. And it was just interesting to see, the beginnings of technology come out, and that was developed like literally in a bedroom in a house going, wow, that's kind of interesting. I just thought he was crazy at the time, but he was actually doing some interesting development, and the doctor was saying, okay, now I need this to be a little more sensitive. But really, I mean, what's happening in the world of e-learning today, or where we can apply e-learning, is starting to have no bounds at all.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, learning is everywhere, and the entire idea of going mobile is that you can take your learning with you anywhere. And I don't think anyone should be considering, developing a new e-learning piece without thinking about mobile at this time, because, the world has gone mobile. I mean, if you think about when you browse the web, when you're doing something and finding out information, how many times are you on your phone versus on your desktop? You're getting a lot of that on your phone. You're looking for places to go, information. It's all on your phone.
Well, they're saying right now, 70 to 80% of all websites are first seen on a phone or tablet.
Sure.
That's
Easy to believe.
Quite a change from what it used to be. Meaning, you can get people. You don't know when people are looking at your stuff, or how.
Right. And any kind of performance improvement type of e-learning, if you're going to be on the job site, more than likely you're going to be mobile. You're not going to have a desktop computer next to you when you're out doing something that you require that on-the-job learning or on-the-job training for. So it's important to have that side of it.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting. And then, of course, on the other side, you've got the learning management side, which is evolving and changing, and that looks like it's going to go through in the next 5 or 10 years, it's going to change completely from what we know today.
Much more social, a lot of things going on in that area with gamification, social, interactive. It's very big in the space.
Which is fun. It makes, a lot of the learning management systems are very dull, boring. And so you add those components to all of a sudden it brings it to life. It's not a hated thing anymore. So that's going to be interesting to see where that all goes, and the personal learning networks. I wasn't much of a believer in the personal learning network because I didn't think anybody really cared, but maybe some do, and it could be real interesting to where that all winds up going, because you could actually literally take stuff that you've learned to any company and say, look, I've already learned this, it's in my network here, and let me show you all the courses I've taken. All of a sudden it has some value.
Yeah.
There's activity going on right now with the ADL. They're actually going through and creating a whole thing of personal learning so that you can have these badges that are ubiquitous throughout the industry, and so that you can move them from job to job or place to place, and they will travel with you.
Yeah,
so that's a big movement going on right now.
And all of a sudden it's got a lot of value.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting. So what shows are you going to be at soon?
I don't think DevLearn is going to be the first one in November, the first show, and so looking forward to that. Will you be out there?
I will.
Excellent.
We'll be at at least a couple of days. We'll be there for the expo, so we're going to hang out for the expo and just see people. Might bring some equipment and do some streaming. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, you'll always bring some gear with you. Come on.
We try. Yeah.
Boys and their toys. You got to have your toys.
I got another toy recently. I have a Panasonic GH4 camera, which is one of the 4K cameras we have, and it's always been one of the best ergonomic cameras on earth. It's just a great camera, which when it came out, it was $17.99. Now you can get one brand new for about $12.99, and it is, for the price, there's really nothing that comes close to it. And I bought an adapter. It's called a Metabone Speed Booster, and that allows you to attach it. It's a small adapter, maybe like yay big, and it allows you to attach Canon lenses to it, or Nikon, depending what you have. But in this case, I got the Canon lens mount. You can put a Canon lens. Not only does it give you one extra stop of light, meaning it lets it really bright. If you have let's say, digital photography, if you have an f1.8 lens, which is fast, that means a lot of light comes in. Now it becomes like a 0.8 or 9 lens. That's even more light. But it makes it sharper, which is the mind-boggling part of it, because usually the brighter it is, the less sharp it is. It makes it sharper, and you can take pictures on this little micro four thirds camera that look just about as good as a full frame camera. I've been doing that for the last couple of days, going, wow. I'm just blown away by the quality of what they're doing. Tech is fun. I mean, there's so much stuff going on out there.
Absolutely.
Toys.
But nobody has more toys than Rick does. He's got all the good toys.
No. I only have some. I have a wife. I can't have them all. So.
She puts limits on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got a call from our sales rep at Sweetwater, a guy named Marco Sanchez, and he's a really good guy. And he says, hey, we've got this microphone. You've got to check him out. Lauten Audio, Lauten. Lauten Audios. It's called the Atlantis. Man, it's beautiful. $1,500. I was going, ooh, it's expensive. But it gives you basically 3 mics in one, because you can change your voice a little bit. You have like in your face, a little less, and then gentle. So they're all different sounds for your voice. It's a beautiful mic. And so I went on the web and I listened to people doing demos on it. And I was going, why would you put a beautiful mic in front of an idiot who can't sing, who has a lousy voice, who is writing lyrics that show the guy's delusional, and you go, and that's going to make the mic sound good? I'm missing something there. I'm just missing it.
Well, if the mic can make him sound good, then hey, you're ready to go.
No, but nothing makes those guys sound. They just sound stupid. I mean, it just sounded bad. It was really bad. And it wasn't just one. It was like 10. And I went, why don't you hire somebody who really has a good voice, and don't just limit yourself to like bad, not even rockers. I mean, they're just bad, like emotional drainers. And it's like, that's not really good music anyway. I mean, get an opera guy, get a jazz guy, get somebody who can sing, and let's see what it really sounds like. But no, it's always just like, I don't know. I just shake my head and go, why don't we have good people demoing a mic? Or you get a rapper and you go, that's not good singing. I mean, that's not going to highlight the mic as anything good. But that's me. I'm just grumpy.
It's probably a fabulous microphone.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It looks like it, but I have not yet heard anything good on it. And I sent him a note and I said, $1,500 mic and this is what you got to show. Not motivating. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's a crazy industry. Microphones. Anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, John, it's always a pleasure having you on. I know you guys are always doing good things and always excited by what you guys put out, because half the time we don't even know what you guys are going to put out. And it's always nice to see those little surprises of what goes into the product and how well they work. That's the other thing.
Yes.
That's always a good thing. So
More surprises coming. They're always around the corner.
oh, good. I like that.
Always.
Surprises are good. Well, this is a guy who likes tech. I mean, so
True.
he likes new toys too. So, and I know you'd get bored with the product if it wasn't new all the time. So that makes it fun. But anyway, we appreciate you coming on, and we look forward to seeing you at DevLearn in November this year. I think it's about mid-November, right?
The 15th, I think, yeah.
Yeah, that should be fun. And good luck with the development and everything else you guys are doing. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming
John,
on,
it's
John.
great having you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one, everyone, and we will see you next week on eLearnChat. Take care. Thanks.
Bye.